At our March meeting, we review the goals and achievements that we set this year. This year we'll do it a little bit differently in that I will go ahead over most of our goals, but then two of our program specialists will come up and talk about their work themselves. So, in terms of self-administrator, my primary goals this year focused around the self-review, educationally related mental health services, and also continuing the work of the Oversight Committee on the FICMAT report. In terms of the special education review, all of our districts have completed the first phase, which had involved parent input sessions and the development of their monitoring plans. The self-governance review is complete, and right now phase 2, where the districts are reviewing the student records, are underway, and this is due to CDE by May 30th, and I think people are pretty well on target to meet that date. And once they submit that electronically, they then wait until CDE provides them a letter to notify that their findings were accepted. And that then starts the timeline for the final phase of the self-review, which probably will go into next year because that has two parts. One is corrective actions for any systemic issues or policy issues, and that has a 45-day timeline which starts from the date of the letter. The other is student corrective actions, and that has a 60-day timeline, and it starts from the time students are back in school. So if the letter does come during the summer, there's not a problem getting those done. So we've worked that out with our consultant. In terms of educationally related mental health services, although it was a long process and perhaps a few missteps, we do now have an allocation plan. And I know that at least one finance person was very pleased. Catalina has redone the AB 602 funding model, which is the funding model that has your general special education revenue in it. And when they saw the increase that resulted in the funds, some funds being shifted out of that model into the educationally related mental health services, they realized, the year looked a little brighter in terms of funding for special education. Also, we have hired 6 additional counselors to meet the needs of all of the referrals we've received. We have a full residential services available. In fact, Maureen is preparing to go to Utah next week to check on the students we do have in placement. So not only are we doing assessments, but we have the monitoring place in place. And you may have noticed on the agenda for today's events here at the WESELPA, she actually has a couple residential placements providing a presentation on their services so we can better know what services are out there for our students. In terms of supporting the districts, we did provide a training on the legal responsibilities and identification of students with emotional disturbance, and also have been working with program directors on making them aware of evidence practices so that we can have a continuum that begins at the school site with more general interventions that would be appropriate for larger groups of kids, and then move through that to more intensive services. In our FICMAT study, we had a couple of things that we continue to work on. At the beginning of the year, I was asked to do a presentation to the Superintendents Council on risk pools, and so we kind of just gathered more information on that. The decisions in regard to the XPOP, which is considered our risk pool, was actually addressed last year. Also, you'll hear today the models that the Oversight Committee has been working with our provider programs to develop. So they went all the way back and developed a new model that is able to more not necessarily accurately, but in more detail, look at costs and be able to assign those costs to the programs that bear those. Also, one of the issues that would cause costs for programs to go up is when a number of students might transfer back to a district program. And so our county area director put in place a procedure to be able to start that process early and track those students. And she reported to the PAC that it worked well for last year, and that procedure now is continuing without change for this year. In the due process area, the goals focused on training and educational benefit analysis, also decreasing procedural errors, and developing expertise in behavior intervention and ADR, as well as non-public school and non-public agency referrals. A key component in the IDEA is the concept of educational benefit. If you look at any cases that look at whether or not the child was offered a free and appropriate public education, the concept of educational benefit is key, and so the district needs to be able to demonstrate that the program they provided the child or designed for the child was able to provide them with some educational benefit. Because of this, we had a presentation by Jack Clark, and a number of all of our directors were there, as well as some of their key staff that they invited, and so we have been really working on this. Also, the educational benefit is a concept that's in our self-review. So this phase 2 of the self-review, we actually will be selecting files and comparing students' IEPs across 3 years to determine whether they've made educational benefit. Many times the key people you have in IEPs aren't the people that are your directors of special ed and especially trained in that. So in order to decrease procedural errors, Amy Foodie has worked with principals, assistant principals, and other people who come to chair IEP meetings and in our special education administrator training program. And I think the supports that we've had with this have made them feel much more comfortable in being in that seat as chairperson and chairing those meetings. Also, we on an ongoing basis provide consultation to the districts on all of their special education questions. I'm always amazed in the days Amy's out how many phone calls I get. So I know her phone must be pretty busy on a regular basis. And we've also assisted districts in compliance complaints as well this year, although those seem to be down significantly. And because student discipline is an issue that was identified as a need, Amy Foodie and Adam Newsom from AALRR teamed together and provided a training to our staff on student discipline and manifestation determination. Behavior intervention is a key component in assisting our students to develop the skills they need for independence in later life and success in school. And to this, we've really worked, we've had a number of victim trainings, behavior support plan trainings. We've hosted the Region 10 Behavior Conference, as well as PET this year to make sure all of our staff have opportunities for training in behavior intervention. And we work to ensure that the staff at the non-public schools are aware and implementing those behavior plans for students that are in those placements, as well as students in our schools and districts. We also have worked with residential and non-public school staff to provide continuity of care and effective transitions. And I know I met yesterday with our community mental health providers, as well as some of our WESELPA counseling staff, and we We had 3 students who left residential treatment centers and returned back to their districts, and with the supports and services and the planning that was done, it was discussed that all 3 of these students have been highly successful. And that's not always, many of our students graduate from residential treatment centers. Sometimes their families may not want them back. They're 18 by that time, and so, you know, when a child's taken out of the home, it's always a challenge to reintegrate them and help them be successful when they come back. So, and we also have 2 cadre members that are new from our district, so we're kind of expanding. Previously, most of our members had been here at WESELPA, so we're happy to see that expansion of expertise in the districts. I certainly would like to recognize Amy for the work that she has done this year in alternative dispute resolution. As I've indicated, she has obtained additional training. She also presented at the AXA conference with our 2 other colleagues from our other SELPAs under the jurisdiction of the county schools. And she has been busy working with many of our districts to try to get resolution meetings and settlements, facilitated IEPs done before the problems kind of gotten to the point where it's difficult to repair the relationship. For next year, she is planning an ADR symposium, so we'll work on continued training and skill development for all of the staff. Our program specialists have worked hard with our non-public agencies, and they orchestrated a meeting to meet with the non-public agencies that provide services to our students, really focusing on the collaborative manner in which we can work together, and ensuring that services were educationally relevant and would support students in the classroom. Also, as we look at our data on non-public school placement, it does show that the districts are working hard to serve students in the least restrictive environment, and the percentage of students we have from the SELPA that are placed in non-public schools continues to remain quite low. Our vocational services are comprised of 2 grant programs. One is Workability One, and that provides services to our students in middle and high school. The other is the Transition Partnership Program, and they provide services to students in high school and also once they graduate. And so we work to meet the goals of those grants that they have established. Also, our vocational team wanted to really reach out into the community and ensure we had good networking and collaboration with opportunities out there. Our Workability program provides presentations and services based on the needs of the high school and the desires of the high school. So for many of our northern schools, what they're requested are presentations where they walk the students through information on being able to select a career and also complete an interest survey with those students that can then become part of the transition portfolio. In Chino, the primary focus has been more on a career fair, and we've been able to bring out potential future employers and secondary education providers, and the students in small groups go around and are able to gain information on opportunities that are available to them. We also work with our students in the second part of the year that are sophomores and freshmen, and are providing presentations to help them begin to think about what transitioning after school would mean to them. And you see here the numbers of students that are placed and served. The students in workability placements, this is a subsidized job placement. It's designed for work experience. It's not necessarily designed to get the child a job. It's we have a large number of students who are able to get job experience and have something on their resume and kind of learn about the world to work. We also, in our middle school this year, have increased the number of classes that have participated. We've had a little change. We reorganized how we allocated staff, and so we had 2 new staff people step up and offer to head up the middle school program. And you know, sometimes change is great because they really had a great deal of enthusiasm and have gone out and done a great job kind of revitalizing that program. The Transition Partnership Program is a cooperative contract with the Department of Rehabilitation. Actually, our contract for the next 3 years is up for approval at this meeting. And it's a much smaller contract in that we're really targeting students in specific classes. And we have 4 high schools in Chino that participate. Upland High School is a member of the TPP partnership, and Montclair High School in Chapin has joined us this year. And so we work very intensely with these individual students. They are more job ready. We're really looking at careers at this point. And so there were 57 students. We have a maximum of 60 students who can be served through the contract. Many of these students do not necessarily get jobs while they're in school. This is really to look at how can they continue to have support once they leave school. So there are 18 students who are currently in subsidized job placements, and once those students have been in their job for 90 days, the Department of Rehabilitation considers it a successful employment experience. And so those students are hired long-term and continue to get some support from our counselors as they are in their jobs. You can see here the number of activities and agencies that our VOC team has worked with. I know last Friday there was a very successful apprenticeship forum at Victoria Gardens, and we had a couple schools. Some of our districts were on break, so not all of them were able to participate, but you can see the number of people that they have worked with this year. Our counselors had a very busy year because of the changes. They really looked at their procedures and also had to work hard to bring on new staff, some of whom are not experienced in working with schools, and so the concept of IEPs and IDEA, we needed to do some training in. We also looked at making sure we had a full continuum of services and a place looking at providing a facility to house the program. So they had 2 other goals in regard to podcasts and a counselor staff retreat. Unfortunately, we're always the last ones to take care of ourselves, so neither of those, the last 2 goals were not achieved. In terms of referral and assessment, we do have a new referral procedure and a very good system for monitoring all of the referrals. And I think that the districts are happier. They immediately get a letter that lets them know which counselor has been assigned the case, and so can work directly with that person to make sure all of the timelines are met. Because we now are the only agency responsible for educationally related mental health services, every referral that we receive receives an assessment. In the past, we would kind of staff those referrals and would determine whether or not some of them were more appropriate for AB services, Department of Behavioral Health, or other agencies. And so we've changed our process through that. Because of that, because of the size of our counseling team, at this point, we have a leadership team of 3 individuals who look at all referrals twice a week and then assign those cases and determine that they're complete. We've also worked on a standardized report format and making sure that we have a report that can be defended and is legally compliant. And right now we're in the process of developing a procedural handbook to help bring on new staff. As I noted, we've had additional counselors come on. We've already had one come and leave. She's was asked to head up the mental health services in East Valley WESELPA. So there's starting to be a little competition out there for staff. We did receive 188 referrals this year. These are new referrals. In addition to students we already had on counseling services, we have 238 students who receive counseling at this moment in time, and from our clinicians, and we have about 30 others who are receiving services through our community mental health partners. The kind of services they are able to provide include individual counseling, and this has become more intensive than in the past for some of our students. They also provide group therapy at 3 of our school sites. Family therapy is available if the parents want to participate, as well as case management services and residential services. At this point in time, they are working on developing a social skills program based on the UCLA PEERS model for students with high-functioning autism, and hope to be able to roll that out next year. We have identified a facility, needs for a facility, and requests have been sent to the districts. We did have Mountain View School District respond, and I've heard that there may be another school district that is interested, and also we were contacted by the facilities folk at county schools due to the changes in kids in care. A facility may be available that the county currently has a lease on. So we'll look at all of those options. In terms of residential services, we did develop addendums for the master contract to ensure that we could appropriately and legally contract with these people. There was a parent liability form developed because the person we hired has a lot of expertise doing that, and felt that we needed to have this in place. We're visiting all of the sites twice a year at least, and she holds monthly telephone conferences with the residential treatment centers so that the progress of students there can be tracked, and she can determine when a student is ready to either step up to a more significant, has more significant needs and perhaps needs to change placement, or hopefully step down and begin to be brought closer to home. So we'll go ahead and have our program specialists.